All right. Good evening, everybody. Thank God it's Friday. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the music. I was just having a blast. All right. But I hope you had a great time. Thank you very much for power tapping on TikTok. We're on 17.5k likes right now. So I really do want to appreciate you by clapping. So thank you. Thank you very, very much. We're going to have a blast today. Oh dear. Evolution wa lórí kíní I méjì lónìí o. Ó jẹ́ ká sáré edit. Owó wa mi wálé. I like that song. Okay, I think I've said it before. Pamuregeji guy. Ọlọ́ṣọ́mọ Fatai ọlọ́mọbọ̀ ẹlẹ́tì fúbọ̀dé Madan Òwòkáì ọlọ́mọbọ̀ mo tún wá lọ Dubai bàbá taníṣẹ́wò. Okay, I think we've sorted that out. Now we're good. All right, thank you very much for joining us. That was Adekunle Gold doing his thing. Fantastic song. Thank you very much for joining us today. So we're starting our series finally, the evolution of Christianity in Yorubaland. We'll have part 1 today, but that'll be after the news. Let me welcome everybody. Ole comrade, welcome. Ekro Leo, Shedadale, wow. Papa T, good evening. Ibo Jinoju, Ekro Leo. First Sean, good evening. HRH, good evening. Thank you very much for being here. All right, lovely to see everybody around. Thank you for joining us on YouTube and also on Facebook. We'll see whether we'll be able to come on Twitter much later. The other device is busy at the moment. But I'm glad to be here, and I hope you're glad to be here as well. If you're on TikTok, please also power tapping and also click on the heart icon just above my head here. Join the team. If you're already a member of the team, drop a heart to me. Let's push the live together to the FYP. Thank you very, very much. If you're on YouTube, please like the live. Also on Facebook, like and share the live. Thank you very much. Let's help the algorithm to recommend the live to others. Thank you very much. Just going to look around to be sure we're good on all platforms and we get started right away. There's a little issue here. All right, hope everybody's having a great day. Aku Ikpari Ose. Who is going out tonight? I ask this question as if I ever go out tonight. I don't. But I mean, sometimes it's good to ask. All right, I think we're good on YouTube. So please, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, please like the live. It's quite easy to do. Just like, please, and share. If you Zamfara alone. Wow, all of us. They did something. Sorry, that's one of our content. Okay, I think we're good. There's something else. Yeah. I'll do it later. Okay. So yeah, once again, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us. It's a Friday. It's a lovely evening. And thank God it's Friday. So the news. I think the big one really is what happened earlier today. I mean, we know what happened a while back when, of course, with Nnamdi Kanu, being sentenced to prison. That judgment has actually got different people to speak up. One of them, of course, is the former governor of Kaduna's son. That's Governor Nasir Rufai's son. Bello, who is in the House of Representatives, had spoken on the matter and things related to it, and I think that's where we'll start from. and then we'll gradually get into what happened today. All right. So let's start with Bello El-Rufai's take on what's happening, and then from there we'll move to other things. All right. Here is Honorable Bello El-Rufai. Please take a listen.
The conviction recently of a terrorist, Boko Haram, I believe his name is Husseini Ismail. He was convicted for 20 years by a high court. He was a Boko Haram terrorist. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was convicted, I think, last week, and his own conviction said life sentence. I don't understand why one terrorist is getting 20 years and the other is getting... Pastor made a good point. There's this idea that justice is served differently, and it affects the problem. Mr. Speaker, I'll conclude by saying this. I've been an advocate of state police. I've sought the wisdom of more experienced members like Honorable Sada Soli, Honorable Adodogwa, even yourself and the Speaker. I think the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results. Somebody said that earlier. We cannot be sitting in Abuja and expecting operations to be efficient in Benue. We have to go back to communal policing. You that are older than us always tell us there was a time when if a guest comes to a community, everybody knows him. We have to get the traditional leaders involved and go back to state policing. This parliament, under your leadership, and I know the excellent work you're doing in the Constitutional Review Committee, is looking at that. Sir, no time for election talk now. We have to tell the public a timeline to roll this out. The fear that governors will abuse it always shocks me because they already have all that power. I'll finally end by putting myself in trouble as usual. The North has an issue. My honorable sister mentioned why we have become a breeding ground for such things. This is why. We are not sending our children to school. Of late, you have bandits on TikTok holding monies. The younger people, younger than myself, they have no employment and no skill because we've neglected them. It's a failure on all our parts over the...
All right, that was Honorable Bello El-Rufai speaking on what happened with Nnamdi Kanu and the other person, but then he mentioned someone was referring to a particular speech that was made before his. I'd like us to listen to that honorable as well. Take a listen, everyone. Here goes.
Our brother has been jailed for life, and the judge who jailed him saw before him what you are distracting me. The judge who jailed him, or Motosho, saw things before him that made him to jail him for life. Good enough. But Mr. President has the greatest opportunity now. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a lawmaker. I'm not a lawmaker. I'm not a judge. I'm a lawmaker. What I am saying today, that Mr. President
leader, please.
Mr. President today has the greatest opportunity as a very courageous person, that today I know that
point of order.
The councils to Mazi Kalu Nwankwo has not gone for appeal. We are not appealing today. We are demanding today that within the ambit of law of these 60-90 days, he has not gone to court. Order. For Mr. President to give him a pardon and release Nnamdi Kanu to us. My name is Honorable Judge Ozodinobi. I represent the good people of Unjikoka and Ochadunukofia Federal Constituency. I'm from Anambra State. Mine is a short one. I want to speak to the sovereignty of this country, of which we have gradually lost. As a child, I can beat my chest today that I'll be one of the few here standing that saw war as a child. What is happening in Nigeria today, especially in the north? Nigeria is at war. We must call it that. We must wage what is happening in the north. Confront it as we are fighting war. I want to speak, Mr. Speaker, on Nigeria as a sovereign nation. The news of the capture of this and summary execution of Brigadier General M. Oba by back to where we stopped. If terrorism can move freely, is sovereign about Nigeria. Some people were shouting Nigeria is a sovereign nation. We don't need America. We don't need anyone. But Nigeria went to Congo. Nigeria went to Liberia through ECOMOG to help them out. We need help this time. Even if it's coming from Mali, from Chad, from Burkina Faso, we need help. Our children are being molested in the north. Our girls are being molested in the north. We were refugees during Nigerian Biafran War. As a child, I know how my parents suffered to keep me alive for that 3 years. But let us tell ourselves the truth. What kind of sovereignty allows terrorists to capture and kill a whole general like a common criminal? Because if terrorists can cross our borders at will, enter our villages at will, ambush military convoys at will, take entire towns at will, and now capture a brigadier general, then what exactly are we protecting with this so-called sovereignty? Is this sovereignty when terrorists are the ones controlling forests, highways, and communities? Is this sovereignty when commanders are killed and everyone stays silent, and our children out of school? We opposed the US when they wanted to help Nigeria destroy terrorists. We shouted, don't interfere, don't touch our sovereignty. But what is left is to protect when terrorists already operate like a government inside a government, a country that cannot secure its land is not sovereign, it is vulnerable. This is a personal opinion. A country where terrorists can humiliate military is not sovereign. It is under siege. A country that refuses international help while soldiers die is not sovereign. It is stubborn to its own destruction. If a general can fall like this, then all of us are naked. This is not time for pride. Take entire towns at will, and now capture a brigadier general. Then what exactly are we protecting with this so-called sovereignty? This is not a time for pride. This is not a time for ego. This is time to ask, what is sovereignty? What? If it cannot save a single life of a Nigerian. Truly a country of particular concern. As an opposition, I'm standing here to say that, Mr. President, I've observed over time since '99, he's a very courageous person. That's why in '99 in Lagos, I voted for him to be a governor. And I also saw his courage when, a minute after being sworn in, he removed the oil subsidy. Though timing was wrong. I saw his courage when he brought off 4 tax bill here. We passed. We saw his courage. And also I want to encourage him to extend that his courage. Today, our brother has been jailed for life, and the judge who jailed him saw before him what you are distracting me. The judge who jailed him on Motosho saw things before him that made him to jail him for life. Good enough. But Mr. President has the greatest opportunity now. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a lawmaker. I'm not a lawmaker. I'm not a judge. I'm a lawmaker. What I am saying today, that Mr. President
Leader, please.
Mr. President today has the greatest opportunity as a very courageous person, that today I know that
Point of order.
the counsels to Ẹkáàbọ Nwankwo has not gone for appeal. We are not appealing today. We are demanding today that within the ambit of law of these 90 days, he has not gone
Point
to
of
court.
order.
For Mr. President to give him a pardon and release Nnamdi Kanu to us. I rest my case.
Okay.
Isn't it funny that he was talking about courage, that the president should, show courage, and then the next thing he's talking about is freeing Nnamdi Kanu? I thought he was going to connect that. We thought he was saying, or connected to what he was saying in the beginning when he was talking about how, we need to fight the terrorists. We need to fight the terrorists. That's what I was expecting. Like, show courage, let's fight the terrorists, let's push them out, and things like that. But there's something I've noticed, right? And I really wish it wasn't so, but it's what I've noticed. Number one is that just about everyone from the Southeast wants America in Nigeria. Number two is that they twist exactly what is happening. America was not, things may have changed right now, especially with the meeting that the NSA, New Rubadu had, with the officials of the United States government. Things might have changed now, right? But before now, America was not planning to help Nigeria. If somebody says they're coming to your country, guns are blazing, that doesn't sound like they're helping the government or the country. And when sane people speak up and say things like Nigeria is a sovereign state, it's not because they don't want help. It's because the person coming, guns are blazing, is not coming to help. He's coming to invade or conquer or whatever he wants to do. Now, it may not be to conquer the nation. He may tell you he's coming to do something to Boko Haram or whatever, or terrorists and everything, which is good. But the language already tells you that it's not so much about the country. It says we're coming, guns are blazing. The language is not the language, it's not diplomatic, it's not the language of help. I think Nigeria needs help. There's nothing like ego or pride about this. Nigeria needs all the help Nigeria can get. But that will be, even if it's external, it's going to be an external government or another country helping Nigeria's government to deal with the situation. Not an external, another country invading Nigeria in the name of want to free you. And it's amazing that people, regardless of their status from a particular part of the country, have the same rhetoric about let them just come. And then when you say that, you then go on to say, oh, the president should show courage, and you like the fact that he showed courage, you fuel subsidy and so on and so forth. So what was I expecting? That he would show courage to push these bad guys out, which would be right. But no, the next thing you heard was that you are demanding that they should give pardon. Who demands pardon? Is not the person telling Nigeria not to show ego is actually the one exhibiting ego by saying we are demand. You don't demand pardon. You don't demand it. It's not anybody's right. It's something you ask for. You make a plea. So you went on to say, oh, like the issue is now that they are demanding pardon because Nnamdi Kanu is in prison. So all of this thing was really about Nnamdi Kanu, and it's sad. It's sad because, like I said the other day, for some weird reasons, nobody from let me not say nobody, because I've heard one or two. It's just that they're not many. They're not very loud. They're not as many as the other ones. Most people, I should say, from the Southeast, we'll talk about this. They don't mention the people that suffered because of the activities of Nnamdi Kanu. Well, he's saying that they are demanding that Nigeria should release Nnamdi Kanu. Now, there is an Nnamdi Kanu story, but I don't want to go there yet. I played a video earlier of Honorable Bello El-Rufai talking about the penalty, the fact that the other ISWAP guy got 20 years and can, you know, when let's do it this way. I'm going to play a video, then I'll tell you what I think. So I thought about this. Somebody had, reached out to me last weekend to say, oh, this ISWAP guy got 20 years, Kanu got life imprisonment. There's lopsidedness, or shall I say there's no consistency, right? That they should have gotten the same thing. I thought about it yesterday when I saw this news, and I was like, oh, I see something here. Who gave that guy 20 years imprisonment? A judge from a particular place. And that has now become the basis for the argument of why not give Kanu 20 years because you give this one 20 years. So the question is it reminding us of what happened in the 1960s, around 66, when somebody did something somewhere else and then was asking that, how come you are not giving the same thing to my people in the other place? I'm going to explain all of this later. CEO, you're actually absolutely correct. That was my argument. The fact that they were charged for different offenses, that was my argument. And I still maintain that stance. But I want you to listen to Adams Oshiomhole. By the way, some of these things are, very emotional. You hear people passionately defend a point, but it's not so much about emotion. It's about what was the charge against the person. But even if you say it's not about the charges, then I'm going to go to the next part of, are you trying to do this because you want something else from someone? But let's listen to Senator Adams Oshiomhole as he said something similar to what Honorable Bello El-Rufai said earlier. Take a listen, please.
How can an offense that carry death penalty, a judge reduce it to 20 years in prison? That is not acceptable. But he has violated the laws passed by the parliament. Number 3, sir, and this will be my big last.
Has that happened in Nigeria already?
It has. Somebody convicted of terrorism was sentenced to 20 years in prison. When the law says act of terrorism, if convicted, shall attract death penalty, no judge has a right to pronounce less than that. It is only when you have implemented the law, interpret the law, not the sentiment of a judge, the will of the people as conveyed in a law, then the president can decide if there are reasons for him to do so, whether to commute or to reduce. Death penalty or terrorism. This parliament is on record as having done that. Mr. President, I am troubled when, after all the efforts that security agencies and the prosecuting authorities have to invest to secure conviction, because unfortunately the state cannot behave like a mob. So you have to prosecute, follow due process. I am troubled by the conflicting judgment by various high court judges. When the law says act of terrorism, if convicted, shall attract death penalty, no judge has a right to pronounce less than that. It is only when you have implemented the law, interpret the law, not the sentiment of a judge, the will of the people as conveyed in a law, then the president can decide if there are reasons for him to do so, whether to commute or to reduce. How can an offense that carries death penalty, a judge reduce it to 20 years in prison? That is not acceptable. He has violated the laws passed by the parliament. Number three, sir, and this will be the last.
Has that happened in Nigeria already?
Okay, I think that's a repeat. I'd like to read something from the Punch newspaper. I think it actually speaks to what the senator and also the honorable spoke on late earlier. Oh boy, I'm thinking very fast. I want to read something from the Punch newspaper, and I think this speaks to what both the senator Adams Oshomole and honorable El-Rufai were talking about. A federal high court in Abuja has convicted and sentenced the leader of the Islamic State West Africa province, Hussaini Ismaila, to 20 years imprisonment on terrorism charges brought against him by the Department of State Services. Justice Emeka Nwite delivered the judgment on Tuesday, following Ismaila's decision to change his plea from not guilty to guilty on the 4-count charge filed under the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013. Ismaila, known as Maitangara, was accused of coordinating multiple attacks on police formations in Kano State in 2012. According to the prosecution, Ismaila masterminded attacks on the police headquarters in Bompai, the mobile police base in Kabuga Road, Farm Center Police Station, and Angwaku Police Station, among other locations, during which several people sustained injuries. He was arrested on August 31, 2017 at Samia Baba Village in Gezewa local government area of Kano State and subsequently arraigned. However, the trial experienced significant delays due to interlocutory appeals and a trial within trial to determine the voluntariness of his extrajudicial statements. I'm going to jump to the judgment itself. His counsel, P.B. Onija of the Legal Aid Council, urged the court to temper justice with mercy, noting that his client was remorseful and had opted to plead guilty to avoid further delays. The client was remorseful and had opted to plead guilty to avoid further delays. In his judgment, Justice Nwite found Ismaila guilty on all 4 counts and sentenced him to 15 years imprisonment on count 1 and 20 years each on counts 2, 3, and 4. The sentences are to run concurrently, meaning the convict will serve a maximum term of 20 years. The judge ordered that the sentence take effect from the date of Ismaila's arrest, August 31, 2017. He further directed the Controller General of the Correctional Service to confine the convict in any facility of his choice for the duration of this sentence. Justice Nwite also ordered that upon completion of his term, Ismaila must undergo rehabilitation and de-radicalization before being reintegrated into society. All right. So here's the thing. Where do you stand? I look at the two perspectives, and I think everybody has a point, but number one, the charges are not the same. Number two, there's a point of being remorseful, right? And also the fact that the guy pled guilty. Contrast that with the person who is saying, Omotosho, show me the law. I don't know if shouting Omotosho, show me the law can actually get you what you want. And of course, there was no remorse. But apart from that, the charges were different. I just wanted to read that so that we're not carried away by, the passion. And if, for instance, for whatever reason, the government decides that, they should retry that guy so that they can give him the life sentence, all the best to them. But if you want to speak on this, when you come up, please let us know the path. The other part, I don't want to speak on it right now. Someone says, where is the judge that handled the first case from? I think he was trying to set a precedent. That is what I was saying, Babati. That is what I was saying. That's what I was saying. The judge is Igbo. And I'm not saying this is what happened. I'm just saying there's a possibility that you can draw some parallels between what's happening and what happened. And I'll give an example. Let me just say it this way. 1966, right? Ojukwu came up with a plan in the south. I think I mentioned this last week. Ojukwu came up with a plan, in the eastern region, when he said people could, access scholarship and whatever, regardless of their tribe of origin. They shouldn't write their tribe in the form or their ethnicity. I don't like but they use the word tribe. They shouldn't write the ethnicity in the form so that, regardless of who you are, you're Nigeria, and that's everything. And that's all. So when you see that in your mind, you're seeing a detribalized, policy, a policy that makes everybody just about, regardless of where you're from, you're Nigerian. But that's not really what it was. How do I know? Because by 68, when Igbo intellectuals were writing about that policy, they mentioned why it was discontinued. It did not even last for a year. What am I saying? It didn't last for 6 months. The reason they discontinued it was because they said that there was no reciprocity from in other parts of Nigeria. In other words, the reason for that policy was not to detribalize Nigeria. The reason for that policy was to find reciprocity in other parts of Nigeria for the group that traveled the most, who happens to be the same group that is starting that thing in the east. Because if it was a policy about Nigeria first, then it would not matter whether people reciprocated or not. You don't do things because you're expecting people to do it for you. You just do it because maybe conscience, you see the benefit of it, or whatever it is. But because it was selfish, as soon as there was no reciprocity, they discontinued it in the eastern region. So much so that by 66, end of that same year, by the end of that same year, around August, September, the same Ojukwu who was talking about we are all one Nigeria, told all non-Igbos and not Midwesterners to leave the eastern region. And the official statement was that, he couldn't guarantee their safety. But the real reason, according to his Attorney General, was that they were trying to create space for the Igbos who were returning to the eastern region. His Attorney General's name is Nebogram Douglas. He wrote it in his book. They were trying to create space for people. The book is called Ojukwu's Rebellion and World Opinion. It was trying to create space for the folks who were returning from the north, from the west, from different parts of Nigeria. The mistake in the plan, according to Nebogram Douglas, is that the spaces being left, or the vacancies being left open with the folks leaving the eastern region, wasn't going to be sufficient for the Igbos returning to the eastern region. So if this man who is supposed to be detribalized one Nigeria person was doing that thing that time, how come a few months after that policy was instituted, number one, they discontinued it because it was not reciprocated. Number two, he sent those same people packing from his region. I said all of that to say this. There is a possibility, and I cannot be, I can't be certain about this, but there's a possibility that the judge may have been trying to set a precedence. This one got 20, that other one should get 20 as well. But it didn't work out that way. So everybody's now angry. Why should that person get 20? So the way to do it now is maybe we should retry that person and give him the life. Everybody will rest, Abby. I don't think everybody will rest. They will now move to the thing that the gentleman, the House of Reps member, said earlier, when he said they were demanding the president to grant pardon. There's a lot of pride, unnecessary pride. You need something that you cannot get for yourself. You see somebody who can give it to you. You can't demand. You can't place a demand on him. He's not your father. He's not your God. What you would do is, someone says, is there judicial precedence for that retrial? I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying that if people are so angry about It's just a statement. If people are so angry about the 20 years, they should retry him and give him, life. But lawyers can tell us if that's possible. I'm not talking about the legal implications of that thing, because I'm not a lawyer. I'm talking about the cultural and societal perception of what is happening. So it's not so, for me, it's not so much the law as it is the society. In other words, you are against this person because he got shorter sentence or whatever than your person. And the House of Reps member was saying, we, as though they had a meeting with Kanu before Kanu started doing everything he did. Someone says they can appeal the judgment now. Who will appeal? The state or the convict? Because I don't know if third parties can appeal a case they were not part of. Again, I'm not a lawyer. But the state, what's the incentive for the state to appeal? What's the incentive for the state to appeal against the person who was remorseful, against the person who chose not to plead, who changed his plea from not guilty to guilty? Or like the one who is telling everybody, you don't know law. Me, Bori. You're in front of a judge, you're telling the judge he doesn't know law. We're done. Apparently, we're all learning this thing together. I see some things in the comment sections on YouTube and on TikTok. I'm going to read them later. Anyway, while those ones are demanding more Ẹkáàbọ, I think let's just finish Kanu case before we go to the next thing. While they are demanding, I think they should really begin to beg for that pardon right now, because they will need it. The reason is because Aloy Jimakor posted something yesterday. It says this is a summons to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to be present on November 28 at Federal High Court Abuja for settlement of record for the appeal he filed before the November 20 judgment. A production warrant is required for the Sokoto prison to bring him to Abuja, but the court refused to issue it. There's something I'm noticing. Please tell me if I am wrong. Kanu's lawyers, since he let the son, Agabi, since he let him go, be like say these people are more concerned with media than with the case. Just my opinion, I may be wrong. But it looks like they are more concerned with appearances, media appearances. And I'll read something to you, for instance, from here. Yesterday, just like I said earlier, Aloy Jimakor put something up yesterday as well. It says, we just concluded a visitation with Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Are you his lawyer or... We just concluded a visitation with Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Amongst the delegation is Honorable Obi Agwocha, who also met with Onyendu yesterday, after which the Igbo community here gave us a fraternal reception. We shall visit MNK again tomorrow, and more delegation is on the way. It doesn't look to me like this is about the case anymore. You are traveling, you're on camera. In fact, there is one video that he posted where he was in a plane. It's quite interesting. I'm going to play it. I don't know if you can hear anything from it, but it was on the plane. And take a listen.
Real patience and understanding. In the cockpit, the captain.
I'll read the description.
First officer Mubarak in the cabin are Bola, Moses, Dave, and so you were all here to make your journey safe and comfortable. As the doors are now closed, please ensure that all entering devices are completely turned off. So he posted this video on his X handle, and then he described, this is the description attached to the video: inside the aircraft from Sokoto to my next destination. I'll take that again. Inside the aircraft from Sokoto to my next destination, in defense and pursuit of freedom for Onyendu, #MNK, and all that labor on account of injustice, so help me God. What is this?
is this law? I mean, we cannot create content apparently. I mean, it's good. There's nothing, but I mean, the space is wide enough. Everybody can become content creators. But I thought we were discussing a person's life here. But what do I know? You know, what do I know? His other guy, I think is Maxwell. He also, you know, was doing the same thing. I don't know what they're really doing, to be honest. But I want to see if I can play that thing. It is well with the gentleman. I hope, I mean, I'm assuming he's gentle, but I wish him all the best. Let me play that video. 1 second, please. Oh dear. No, I'm going to find that video. Let me just play this one while I search and find out. I'm going to find it in a bit, but I can't see it now. So an Igbo man, apparently not thinking the same way as the Honorable we listened to earlier. He has a different thought about this whole thing. Put out a statement earlier talking about how it was good for Nnamdi Kanu to be sentenced to life imprisonment. He's said to be an Ungwa man from Abia State, and he says that, sorry, 1 second. No. He's not an Ungwa man. The thing about the Ungwa thing is I think it's condescending to Igbo, so I'm not going to read it out. Let me just play you the video, okay? Take a listen, please.
You can't go to a court and abuse the judge, even if you are innocent. You can't go to a court and start telling the judge he doesn't know the law. You know the law more than the judge. And this, I'll be honest with you, this judge was very lenient. He was very nice. I'm telling you, this judge, your Motosho, whatever his name, was very nice to Kanu. Most judges in Nigeria will not give him license. They will have put him to death sentence. I can tell you that. Really? Yes. I'm telling you for fact. So this is not a laughing matter. Right? There are 1,000 videos of Nnamdi Kanu making threats, ordering people to burn Lagos down. He said he was going to go to Abuja and kill Buhari and bring his head. The problem with Igbo people, there's no unity. Igbo people have no unity and they don't like each other. That is a fact. Igbos don't love each other. Let me give you an example. Okay. A man who kills his brother is not a hero. Any man who takes a market and cut the brother's head off or shoot him, you are not a hero. At least in my lifetime, Ojuku have visited this palace 3 times. You saw him? Yes, I saw him and I sat there with him with his father, and Ojuku regretted the war himself. Come closer, let me imitate him for you. Okay. My father said to Ojuku, Ikemba, this Biafran war, if you have to do it all over again, will you still do the same thing? And this is Ojuku's response. Igwe, you know, the war was highly regrettable. And if I have to do it again, I'll do it differently. Otherwise, the people that are there, we haven't learned nothing from the first war. Yes, Ojuku himself lamented in this palace twice in my ear that he regretted the Biafran war. This is Ojuku's word. Look at that. I probably led the first one. I don't think the second one is necessary. That is Ojuku for you. This is not for me. This is rare. This is Ojuku. Go to your phone, take your phone and open it and listen to Ojuku's interview on Biafra. What the Igbos does to themselves is worse than what other tribes does to them. Fact. I say it in your face. This is River Niger. Look at the importation, the containers. We are mainly the importers. Can people come to do this? We can work with government. We can work on it. China has got money. All they need is, what China wants now is influence. They've got money to invest. But we have to tap it. We have to give people that have brains, that speak with Igbo interest. We can have the Niger drain. Some people will say, Nnamdi Kanu was abducted from Kenya illegally. Let me say this once again. Ask any lawyer next to you, ask any senior advocate, any judge you know. When national security of any country is threatened, human right is suspended. I repeat myself, when national security is threatened by anybody, your human rights are suspended. All the references in social media abusing Zeke. Tell me what your own father did in this country. Show me, if any, if he was not a wine tap or a farmer somewhere, you want to come and compare yourself with Zeke of Africa. Azikiwe that is known all over the world. It was Azikiwe that saved the day during the Biafran War. Without Zeke, most of us won't be here today. Yes, he saw the danger and all of us were almost getting wiped out. He threw in the towel. Zeke did.
Like I always say, there are exceptions. That's one of them. I mentioned the video from Nnamdi Kanu's other lawyer, Maxwell. Here is what he had to say. His name, Barrister Maxwell, talking on the judgment, pronounced by Justice Omotosho. Take a listen, please.
Do this today, tomorrow. You adjourn. That you're giving him the last chance. But the last chance is not came. You said, I can see that you're not ready to enter your defense. You hereby foreclose him and shut everybody out from final written address. I have never seen that kind of crime in my life. Shut everybody in before our open eye and adjourn for judgment. In a serious matter like this, final written address for the fact that you did not give and the defendant the power, the opportunity to present his final written address, which you, in your judgment, said that you are going to allow parties to address whatever issues they have with evidence in their final written address, which the Constitution gave him the power to file. You now on your own, and foreclose them that right. That particular judgment is date on arrival.
I don't know if lawyers are supposed to sound like this. Again, I'm not a lawyer, but I don't know if lawyers are supposed to sound like this, talking about the judgment, saying it's right, it's wrong, and if they're weakening the chances of their client. I don't know, but if you know when it's time to come up, please feel free to come up and then you can tell us. Especially if please be a lawyer to talk about this, because if not, we're just going to be talking over each other. I prefer a lawyer to explain if that thing affects the chances of the client. Interestingly, the Court of Appeal has struck out the appeal by the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, who has been convicted of terrorism on the grounds that it lacked merit and had become Nnamdi Kanu's rights violation appeal thrown out as court says life sentence ends legal basis. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has dismissed an appeal filed by IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu challenging alleged violations of his fundamental rights while in DSS custody. The three-member panel held that the case had become academic following Kanu's November 20 conviction and life imprisonment sentence for terrorism by a federal high court judge. Delivering the lead judgment, Justice Bolukuromo Moses Ugo said the court could no longer entertain Kanu's complaints about detention conditions, including his demands for improved health care, religious rights, and relocation to Kuje prison. The judge noted that the reliefs sought were overtaken by events after Kanu's lawyer confirmed that he had already been moved to Sokoto prison, his preferred facility. His preferred facility? The appeal stemmed from the earlier decision by Justice Taiwo, who dismissed Kanu's suit for lack of proof. Respondents included the DSS, its Director General, and the Attorney General of the Federation. All right, I think they can still appeal the one by Justice Omotosho. This one is the other one. Oh boy, this is going to be interesting. But there's something I learned from here. Apparently, I mean, unless of course, wait though. Give me a second, everyone, just a second. I want to check another source to be sure that, because can you read back on? Just a second. it's quite interesting, the kind of drama that's playing out, and I really hope that, you know, I wish him all the best, to be honest, because at this point, someone says his preferred prison was actually Kuje prison. That's not what I read, though. You know, let me read it from the cable. By the way, this thing I'm talking about, this has nothing to do with Justice Omotosho's judgment, though. That one is the ruling on terrorism conviction. Right, that was the ruling on terrorism charges, that other one. But this other one, Toloshe, near appeal court, he's been struck out. Let me read from the cable. This is actually a case against DSS. Appeal court strikes out Nnamdi Kanu's rights violation suits against DSS. The Court of Appeal in Abuja has struck out an appeal filed by Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. It's essentially the same thing I read earlier. It's the same thing. Delivering the lead judgment, Bolu Kuromo Ugo, one of the justices, said the court could no longer grant the relief sought, including an order directing his relocation from DSS custody to Kuje prison, since his lawyer, Maxwell Okpara, confirmed that Kanu is now being held at a Sokoto correctional facility. Ugo noted that Kanu had previously expressed a preference for prison custody over the DSS facility, adding that having now been convicted and remanded in the very place he desired, the court cannot order otherwise. Say what? Oh boy. Oh dear, now I get it. It's not that he wants to be in Sokoto, it's that he wants to be in prison rather than in DSS detention. Now he's in prison, and prison is prison. Even if the prison is in Sokoto, it's prison. So he says that Ugo noted that Kanu had previously expressed a preference for prison custody over the DSS facility, adding that having now been convicted and remanded in the very place he desired, the court cannot order otherwise. The appeal was filed against a judgment delivered by Taiwo Taiwo, a retired judge of the Federal High Court in Abuja, who in 2022 dismissed Kanu's fundamental rights suit for lack of proof. So now different cases there. May God be with him and his family, and I hope people just begin to dial down on the old we demand, we require, we say. Not be like that though. Alright, all the best to him. Someone says the guy just used too much knowledge of the law to snooker himself from all corners. Yeah. May God forgive you. May God forgive you, because that's something. But the good part, I mean, looking at the brighter side, is that at least he asks people to visit him, and according to Aloy Ejimako, there's also Igbo community in Sokoto who probably will be able to also. Let me read again what is. In fact, let me play you a video, because this guy, it's quite funny that they're making a huge show of this. I didn't think this was necessary, but what do I know? Take a listen to this. Honorable Obi Agwacha, who also met with Oyendu yesterday. By the way, Nnamdi Kanu's brother is there. Then he said the Igbo community in Sokoto gave them a fraternal reception. We shall visit MNK again tomorrow, and more delegation is on the way. Okay. All the best with the Sokoto pilgrimage, because that's what it's turned into, to be. May God bless them in all that they do. Now, back to the Honorable, who spoke about the security challenges that Nigeria is facing at the moment. He talked about the president being courageous enough to do something. I mean, he didn't say he should be courageous enough to do something about security. He linked the need for courage to, pardoning or granting a pardon to Nnamdi Kanu, which I find funny, the way he said it. But the president has done something quite interesting. All right? I'm going to play a video that I'm going to read details later. Take a listen to President Tinubu as he speaks on the need for state police and stuff like that. Take a listen, please.
Looking at the security situation more carefully, I've seen civilian JTF, or what you call it, to react to the security challenges, find so many creative ways you people have been going to protect the neighborhood and communities around you. And that has provoked my thinking about, state police. Again, politics apart. We can discuss with the National Assembly leadership to really, look at critical path to that again, and see how we can eliminate those political alliances out of a state police that will be indigenous to the community and provide the additional safety buffer and effectiveness in the area. We have to look at it collectively together.
So the president says, he put out this statement yesterday, declaration of nationwide security emergency on recruitment of additional army and police personnel. Fellow Nigerians, today in view of the emergency, I don't have to read everything, I just read portions. I'm checking out where. Let's read everything. If I think it's getting too much, I'll just jump, okay? So he says, well, Nigerians, today in view of the emerging security situation, I have decided to declare nationwide security emergency and order additional recruitment into the armed forces. So the police will recruit an additional 20,000 officers, bringing the total to 50,000. Then he said, officers being withdrawn from VIP guard duties should undergo crash training to debrief them and deliver more efficient police services when deployed to security challenged areas of the country. He also talked about, people who were taken hostage and what the government has done to get them back. Then he mentioned, of course, that he says, in addition, our administration will support state governments which have set up security outfits to safeguard their people from the terrorists bent on disrupting our national peace. I call on the National Assembly to begin reviewing our laws to allow states that require state police to establish them. States should rethink establishing boarding schools in remote areas without adequate security. Mosques and churches should constantly seek police and other security protection when they gather for prayers, especially in vulnerable areas. Then it says they've created livestock ministry to address the persistent clashes between herders and farmers. So apparently right now, VIPs no longer have police protection. The idea that police will be following people about, I saw some pictures yesterday, quite interesting, to be fair, quite sad. One of them, the policeman was carrying a plate for a woman. I'm like, Olokpa, Ogao. Anyway, so now, the president has been talking about state policing and everything. Now he's actually calling on the National Assembly to begin to work on the laws. And we're looking forward to it. Now, a lot of people have said all kinds of things about state police. Oh, they're going to use it. Anything can be used against anybody. You cannot say because something can be dangerous, right? It has the potential of being dangerous. Therefore, you're not going to use it, even if the advantages are more than disadvantages. It's like saying that knife in the house can be used to kill a person. It is true. Does that mean you're not going to buy knives in your house? So you're not going to have knives in your house. If you want to cut your vegetables, you'll be using your teeth. I might get carrots. I might get cucumber. You'll be using your teeth because you don't want the knife to cut people. You create safeguards. You find the guardrails to ensure that that thing is not used for what... I mean, it's good that you have recognized that it can be misused. And so you come up with policies that ensure that that misuse will, at least, to be at the barest minimum. But all these folks who just go on social media and say, oh, it cannot work, people are going to use it, and they're going to, the governors can, and it's true. I'm not saying these things cannot happen. But you can't say because of that. I mean, you're not saying it will happen, you're saying it could happen. So because that could happen, we shouldn't secure the people. We should just wait for Nigerian police force. The only other thing that people say that actually makes me think like, okay, makes sense, is that would the state be able to fund it? And that's why the president said the states that want to have it should have it. If you can't fund it, don't have it. It's not a law mandating every state to create state police. It's the law, supporting states that want to create police to create it. If you cannot do it, then you leave the people that can do it. It's not by force. I should be very careful with all these things. It can be used like this, can be used like this. Anything can be used negatively. The real issue is this: is it possible, right, to create laws, the state houses of assembly, create laws to make sure that the governor will not be able to? And I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but his leadership is not supposed to be a picnic. I don't know why people are just very reductive about this. They're going to misuse it. So make sure they don't misuse it. Don't say, don't have it. Someone just wrote in the comment section, doctors can misuse medication. Does that mean we should not have doctors anymore? Because some doctors have literally hurt people in the name of treating them. I think we should evolve. And small time, now everybody will be shouting, Senna climb. In those Senna climbs, now like this in Eduam, you have states, you have the sheriffs, and we're just waiting for NPF. You go get policeman for your community. We don't know the place, so doesn't understand the language, doesn't speak the language, doesn't know the terrain, but he's a policeman. How is he supposed to combat crisis and crimes? How is he going to combat crimes? Anyway, the important thing is that they've withdrawn police from VIPs, but some VIPs are not happy about it. And one of them, who happens to be a lawmaker, had this to say in the parliament. Take a listen.
Country as a nation. Mr. President, instead of repelling, we should be pursuing this bandit in the hideout whereby they and get them, bring them to order. Mr. President, we have heard so much on this narrative all over this in the 8th, 9th, and in the 10th Senate now. It is time now to act. We have spoken enough. We have said enough, and the nation have been watching us as their representatives. What are we going to do next? Gladly, in the prayer number 10, he asked for a special committee to review and advise the Senate, but the time given to us is too short. Mr. President, I want let it be 4 weeks for this committee to report back to the Senate what can be better done. Mr. President, I happen to be one of the security committees in the 9th Senate, and I can see the gadget available in most of the senior security heads. They can watch in the offices the comfort of all the police in this country. What is missing then? Why can't we make effort to take this police one by one and come down and get them finished, that the nation can have peace? Mr. President, I very much believe that we can do it, and we must do it. Finally, Mr. President, I'm afraid I have to disagree with the idea of withdrawing police aids to VIPs. That is going to put another danger, because the VIPs are going to be next target, and the government will come back and revert the policy. You see, Mr. President, the number of military attached to retired generals, there are too many. Let's do something there as well. Not only the VIPs, because there are also VIPs. President, like I said earlier, we need to get our act together and see what best can be done to secure our country. Our people have suffered a lot, and they are still suffering. We are living under fear. And the action in the last few days is even increasing that fear. Those of our schools, boarding school, it doesn't make good image of us. We should not submit to this bandit. Instead, they should submit to the power of government and governance. Mr. President, I so submit. Thank you.
Someone on TikTok says, what is it on about? Bai. What is on about is, number one, don't take our security away, VIP guys, because it's VIP. because it's going to expose them to danger. I mean, it's a point, but and then he now said that all these retired generals also have can you remove their own. In other words, if you want to do this to us, I beg, do it for everybody. Make everybody feel them. Apparently, the VIPs are beginning to speak up. Another person, also in the same party, this one is in the Green Chambers, had this to say. It's one of the lawmakers as well. Take a listen.
That the order that's been, they withdraw that the order that's been given. I think if we are not careful, there will be more now because I watched a film of a video of one of the kidnappers or bandits posting that they are going to get the head of the Mr. President. They are going after politicians and they are going after, and these people are all repentant. Mr. Speaker, respect colleagues, I want to say that without missing words. So I want to appeal that order, there's need to review that order. They will do.
Our leaders are just interesting people. What of the common man who has no VIP, who has no security? And by the way, I think according to the president, they're going to have NSCDC in place of the police, as they are also armed. That's Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, right? The only thing is just that it will not be the police. And last, you get private security if it means that much to you. I don't know why I'm laughing, but I know you know why I'm laughing, even if I don't know exactly. It is well. They should not be afraid. They will not be hurt. God will protect them. But it's important that we all understand how this thing works. Meanwhile, let's quickly visit Sokoto. So we have some news report from Sokoto. Whether they are real or fake, you can tell me once I'm done reading them. This one is from, well, let me not mention the person's name. It says in Sokoto prison, where Nnamdi Kanu is held, a surprising transformation is unfolding. Within just 1 week of listening... Oh, Jehovah. Oh, let me not rush out of this thing. Someone is talking about everybody. I think I should do like this. Let me read some of the things you're saying. Everybody go behave. At least you know who I am. Go stop. Someone says on YouTube, the lawmakers should employ the loyal area boys and send them to Israel for training, like Obaseki did with his loyal thugs. Obaseki did that? I didn't know. I did not know. You guys know things, so. Good evening, everybody on YouTube. I'm just seeing your messages. All right, let's read what's happening in Sokoto. I mean, hopefully the VIPs find alternative. The alternative is NSCDC, and if they're not comfortable with that, they can have private security. By the way, this also opens up an amazing opportunity for people who want to invest in businesses. This is a business that you should be considering if you are, I mean, if you're looking to invest in something. Security business. Be like say, so once you have your guys that have trained, I don't know if they'll be able to bear weapons, but they will be trained, and then you can make money securing VIPs. All right. Having said that, let us move to Sokoto. This Sokoto thing is very important. In Sokoto prison, this is from Bidin Nana. Let me just mention the person's name. Maybe like say they make them up. It says in Sokoto prison, where Nnamdi Kanu is held, a surprising transformation is unfolding. Within just 1 week of listening to him, more than 5,000 Muslim inmates have reportedly embraced Christianity. An insider describes a sudden shift, not from pressure, but from the power of his words, wisdom and truth that many say they have never encountered before. Even some Fulani prisoners are moved, drawn to his voice and reasoning, sparking questions about Nigeria's future, and in conversations called for a reimagined union. According to the source, this isn't about religion. It is a message of liberation, shaking the entire facility to its core. Then they put images of people I said, this one day, I don't know whether they're prison or being a campus. The crazy thing is that Sokoto prison, the capacity no reach 2,000. But according to say, more than 5,000 Muslim inmates have embraced Christianity after listening to Nnamdi Kanu. These people are bent on propaganda. Afisheni, his person, just oozing power. Power. Let me read another one. Orientation page. It says, breaking news. 2 Sokoto prison guards have tendered their resignation, declaring that after listening to Nnamdi Kanu inside that prison, our hatred for Nigeria began. According to them, keeping Nnamdi Kanu in Sokoto prison is a national disgrace and an insult to Ndibo. One of the guards, visibly emotional, said, quote, Sokoto prison will never remain the same again. Nnamdi Kanu opened my eyes. Everything he has been saying about Nigeria is the raw, undiluted truth. My mentality changed the moment I heard him speak. Another guard added, I can no longer serve a system that jails a man for speaking truth. Nnamdi Kanu's presence here is a shame on this country. Is a shame on your father's household. This is what people are actually sharing all over the place, and some people actually believe this ridiculousness. It's amazing. Come and see comment. Let's just see comment alone. Yes, it's the one. People are actually celebrating this nonsense. It's amazing. Someone says they want the Hausas to move him out of that prison so that they can be moved to Abuja. Tomamukuro ni Sokoto yen, yo be lo, yo be Damaturu, Adamawa. No, can't go to Adamawa. Yo be is best. Anyway, I saw another one actually. I'm just looking whether I should read or not read. Let me read another one. This one is from IYK Media TV. Quote, I'm a prison guard in Sokoto prison, and I can tell you for free that Nnamdi Kanu is the wisest man I have ever met in my entire life. He carries a kind of wisdom that feels divine, the wisdom of Allah himself, and he does not deserve to be here, a Hausa prison guard has reportedly revealed. He continued, every time I speak with him, I feel like I'm speaking with a man far ahead of his generation. This is not a criminal, this is a leader. Nigeria is holding the wrong man in prison. The Southeast needs help. Someone says, what's the name of the prison guard? The name of the prison guard is one prison guard. His name is one. One prison guard in Sokoto. This, but by the way, I mean, jokes aside, this is the inheritance that Nnamdi Azikiwe, Achebe, and Ojukwu left their people. The ability to propagandize to the point where even you, who is spreading the propaganda, begin to believe your lie. To the point where anybody who says that thing is wrong, as if the person has hurt your pride and wants to destroy your life. Propaganda is the biggest inheritance they left, and it's a shame. Someone says Zamfara prison next. Put him very close to all those boys. When he gets there, should not ask Omotosho, hello Omotosho, do you know the law now? You don't know the law. Anyway, moving away from Nnamdi Kanu, let's go back to the Senate. I'm going to read from Sahara Reporters. Senate declares kidnapping banditry as terrorism, approves death penalty for offenders. Someone on YouTube says that is fake news from IPOB Sokoto. Kanu will be too busy feeding the prison cows. Jesus is Lord. Some of you have bad mouth though. I mean, I know it's propaganda apparently, but that feeding prison cows, I don't know anything about that one. Let's go to Sahara Reporters. Senate declares kidnapping banditry as terrorism, approves death penalty for offenders. The Nigerian Senate on Tuesday adopted sweeping security resolutions officially designating kidnapping and banditry as acts of terrorism and approving the maximum death penalty for all kidnapping-related offenses. The resolutions followed an intense debate during plenary, presided over by Senate President Godswill Akpabio, after a motion for urgent national importance raised by Senator Ashiro Ilola Yisa, Kwara South, and further amended by Senate Leader Okoyemi Bamidele. In one of his strongest security positions in recent years, the Senate ruled that henceforth all laws relating to kidnapping should be classified as terrorism, and should have a maximum death penalty, and no judge should overturn or reduce the sentence without any option of fine. To implement the decision, Senate Leader Okoyemi Bamidele was directed to introduce a formal amendment bill in the shortest time possible. Beyond the legal reclassification, lawmakers approved the creation of a new joint task force to strengthen security across Kwara-Kogi corridor, with forward operating bases to be established in Eruku, Babanla, Okiero, Isanlu, and Wasagu in Kebbi State. All right. By the way, they also found guns, but I think the conclusion was that they were able to pass that resolution. All right, moving away from security stuff, let's talk about some good things happening at home. Southwest Development Commission has given us a reason to smile. But before I read the news, someone in the comment section says Kano should enter the internship program for SWI. Well done. Nigerian Railway Corporation. So this news what I was talking about earlier is that SWDC, they're doing the right thing, right? I mean, the right things, right? A few days ago, we talked about how they had a meeting to formally approve the relationship with Dawn Commission, which is the think tank, and I've mentioned this several times. I've been saying it for even before SWDC was formed. Excuse me, that the Dawn Commission has this fantastic plan for Western Nigeria, and they've been working at this thing for 12 years. And I should say something before I read this stuff. I put out this news the other day about what Southwest Development Commission and Dawn Commission are doing together, and someone said that they had was very insulting, Sha. I said, yeah, they said they were narrow-minded, that they were just thinking about people in the Southwest. I just want to use this opportunity to advise us that we should be very careful how we judge people until we've studied the issue, or else you might just get people discouraged. People have been working for 12 years, coming up with different plans and policies that will now be useful for SWDC now. You are now saying, why didn't they go to Kwara and Kogi? The question you should be asking yourself is, who formed Dawn Commission? And were the governors of Kwara and Kogi involved? The answer is no, they were not involved. Who formed the commission, and who has been funding the commission? Is the governors, or they are the governors of Lagos, Oyo, Osun, Ogun, Ondo, and Ekiti states. They are the ones who have been part of the commission from the start. It's regional, it's not ethnic. Would I love to have an ethnic stuff like this? Of course. But here's the issue. We have this thing in Nigeria where, people are caught into different places. Yesterday I was listening to an interview. A man from Ila, right, was talking about his relatives in Agbamu. Now, Agbamu is in Kwara State. Ila is in Osun State. Both Agbamu and Ila are they are both in Igbomino land. They are Igbomino people. Not only have Yoruba people been divided into two states, a subgroup has been divided into two states. Just like in Lagos, where you are, but it's even better for the Awori. Awori cut into Lagos and Ogun State. At least both of them are still in Southwest. You have the same family. They drink the same water. One side is in Kwara State in North Central. The other one is in Southwest. You think they are happy about it? Someone says it is Southwest, not okay, I'm a Kogi. Yes, it's the same thing. What would I really love? I would love for it to be Yoruba Development Commission. But the issue is that you have a constitution that does not allow you to just be moving anyhow, unless you want to create something for Yoruba people, which is not what Dawn Commission is. Dawn Commission is an organization that is backed by the governors of the Southwestern region. So I think we should, encourage them. And I think, by the way, non-governmental organizations will actually be able to penetrate those places more than Dawn Commission would be able to, in my opinion. And the reason, of course, is because of the handicap placed on them by the Constitution of Nigeria, because of the governors who formed the organization. I hope you get what I'm saying. So if you have non-governmental organizations, I mean, people have been talking to me about something like that for about a year now. I have been talking about it for about a year, so people have been reminding me all the while. But I think it's possible to do that, right? And I was talking to my mentor some time ago and told me about something like that they started with years ago. It was just about Yoruba. It wasn't Yoruba, Nigeria. They went all the way to Benin Republic, to Togo. They had people from there working together. This is not about Kajo Kajoyo. This is like very academic, very policy leaning kind of organization. And some things happened. Also, things have happened that I cannot say. But let's not just, I'm just advising that young people should be careful not to say, oh, I want Kini, they're narrow-minded. I don't even like that phrase, they're narrow-minded. You think you're the first set of people that will think of unification of Yoruba people. You're not. I will thought of it. I will work towards it. As a matter of fact, I was listening to an interview last week where the man was quoting some of the things that happened in 1967, that what they wanted to call Kwara State was West Central State. They wanted to call it West Central State. Folks in the North were angry with it. They said, no, they can't call it the West Central State. So eventually, what did they call it? Kwara. What's Kwara? Is the Nupe word for River Niger. So they call it Kwara. Meanwhile, 12 local governments of the 16 local governments in Kwara are in Yorubaland. About a quarter of Kogi State is Yoruba. Third or a quarter, thereabout, is Yoruba. So that's why if we had gone with what they said in the beginning, ethno-linguistic states will not be having this issue. But I mean, be that as it may, what we have right now, let's celebrate the small wins, and then let us also challenge us, perhaps organizations that don't have to be brought, that don't have to be held back by Nigeria's constitution while we're waiting for the constitution to be amended. Maybe individuals or NGOs can do things that we're really looking forward to. But let's be very careful how we say, oh, these leaders are myopic or narrow-minded, when you have never really studied it and you don't even understand why they are where they are. And that thing about Yoruba unification thing, that thing, a lot of people have tried it. I've spoken to some of them, and I'm also observing why some of them failed. And it's not because they are not smart. Some of them are smarter than all of us. When you listen to these older people speak, they didn't fail because they were not smart. The job of the young people is to listen and learn, so that when you do it, you can do it better. But when you just stand somewhere and be saying, oh, they're narrow-minded, okay, go and try it. When you enter fire, you understand that they also saw something. Somebody says, sir, will Igala be part of Western region if we do ethno-linguistic states? Of course not. Igalas are not Yoruba. The language is Yoruboid, but the people are not Yoruba. Unless, of course, they choose to be part of Yoruba, then that won't be a problem. All right. The language is Yoruboid, but the people are not Yoruba. They have a distinct ethnic identity. They have a distinct. As a matter of fact, I could say the same for Ishekiri, but I can't say it anymore because Ishekiri, those ones, they've discovered that it's better for them to stay true to who they are. They're Yoruba to the core, all the way to Diomi in Jebu. I read something about them the other day. I was like, this is quite interesting. So Ishekiri is not Yoruboid, it's Yoruba. Igala is not Yoruba. The language is Yoruboid. But I don't think, unless of course they want to join. But I think what we really need is Igala can also be its own country. I mean, we were all separate before the Oyinbo got to Nigeria now. We're all in our different spaces, and even in Yorubaland, our own structure was quite interesting, that even the cities had autonomy, but they recognized the same source. But they had different systems from town to town. We may not be able to do that again, to be honest. That time has gone. A lot of things have happened, right? But for instance, Ibadan was a gerontocracy. It was Republican, but was gerontocracy because most of the people that eventually have ever led Ibadan have always been old. Because of the system, you have to climb the ladder. But that was different. That's different from what the Egbas had. Ijebu had something different. Okay, Egba was, you had 4 kings, and then you had, the paramount one. So everybody had a different kini, although it was still, following the model of Ife. You know, so, but we may not be able to have that one anymore, to be honest. The kings can still be what they are, but times have changed. We will evolve. It's not today's topic. But anyway, hopefully at some point, we're going to have a situation where all Yoruba people from different parts will be able to work together, because that would be the best. I want to have my folks from present day, I mean, I don't like saying Kogi, Okun land. I want the Okun people to be part of what we're doing. I want Igbomino, you know, folks in Kwara State, I want them to be part of what we're doing, right? So, but let's be careful not to just say they are doing nothing because they're not thinking about those people. They are. But there's a handicap. And we will overcome. All right, now the news. Why, West? Why would that be what you have to say to everything I just read? Everything I just said? Demotion, Bawo? No. Yes, you are right. Some not demotion. Some kings used to be chased out of the palace. To be honest, you are right. Not demotion, Shao. Me, I don't agree with demotion. Only one than me, the direct one. So I won't mention any king's name out of respect. I won't mention anyone, but all I want back on there. Sorry, I did back. Hey, Olabode, good to see you. Says, I think going back to the old government offers stronger stability than the current democracy. No. What we have now, we didn't have then. The past is not always better. What we do is we learn from the past and we add it to what we know now. It's like saying in China that China would be better if there was an emperor. One day, I think we should do a session on again, I can't pronounce his name very well. I know his first name is Deng, D-E-N-G. The one who became the leader of China after Chairman Mao. And when he was trying to transit, he was saying that they're going to have socialism with Chinese characteristics. That's the place. That thing is, so it is like democracy with Yoruba characteristics, or whatever it is with Yoruba characteristics, but not saying we want to go back to what we were. That thing is a dangerous thing. And I'm very careful when people say things like, let's go back to I'm like, what do you know happened in the past? I mean, we talk about the good of it. We don't talk, because it wasn't a perfect system, by the way. And it's okay that it wasn't perfect. Because even where and we also see, our fathers are smart. You know, everything they did, they also were modifying and evolving. They never had this thing of, by say, Ifa says, Ogbon Dunni, Wiriemi. Ogbon Dunni, Wiriemi. It means that what you consider wisdom this year will be considered foolishness, in next year. Therefore, it gives you that space for evolution. So you can take something from the past, and we need to do that, by the way, and we're doing it, to be honest. Look at the way look at the way governors in Yorubaland greet kings. Look at the way they are partnering with kings. I mean, this meeting they had, this security, whatever they had yesterday, kings were there. And that is also from what happened in the 1940s, where you had House of Chiefs. House of Chiefs did not exist in the time of Oduduwa or Obalufo. But by the 1940s, seeing what was happening, they had to model it after House of Lords. So our kings had something to do. Constitutional responsibility. They need to have it. Someone says, for not to disrespect any kings, we should just sue them. He says, sue who? You guys are angry, Abby. You guys are angry. But I hope you get the point. There is wisdom in the past, but we should never go back and live in the past. It's not a very cool place to live or long. I'm also because we focus on the good sides. But let me challenge us. We don't even have to do a session on it. Please just look at the evolution on that. Please, who knows his surname? Jesus is Lord. I have to learn to pronounce that name today. Wait. He's the one after Chemamao. He became leader in the 70s. was the one that transformed China, came up with the four policies, worked with Lee Kuan Yew in Singapore to rebuild China, introduced mixed economy. Oh boy, it's about to rain. If I have any issues now because of the rain, but hopefully it will not be too heavy for the internet. I hope you can hear me. Sharomi Opoju. Sharomi Opoju. I was right. It's Deng Xiaoping. I knew it, but I wasn't sure. Even though I know how to do no. Deng Xiaoping. I should have just said it. I would have been right. But yes, it's Deng Xiaoping. Thank you, doctor. I just confirmed. So that's Deng Xiaoping. I think you should, everyone should do some, if you can, just take some time to study, the evolution. And I know I might evolve. We see something from the past, we'll bring it in. It's the same thing Lee Kuan Yew did in Singapore. Whatever they created, he was building using Chinese philosophy, but it was modern democracy. But it wasn't the same thing as what you have in America. And it was saying it because of the differences in the culture, that they are Asians, not Americans. Yoruba people, we have to do the same thing. We can practice the system. There is no law on earth that says your president must be there for only 4 years. No law. Just because America is doing it. Germany is not doing it. The UK has a different system. Why are we just always copying and pasting? We have to sit down to also acknowledge what's in our past or what's in our culture and then add that into whatever we're doing. So, I'm a bagbamu, boama yato will be unique. All right, finally, let's read the news. Someone says, yes. How did Igala become Yoruba? I did not say Igala is Yoruba, though. I said Igala language is Yoruba, it's not the people. It's about the language for me, at least for this conversation, not the people. Let's read this news. It's too sweet. NRC, that's Nigerian Railway Corporation, SWDC, that's Southwest Development Commission, to revive rail connectivity in southwest Nigeria. The Nigerian Railway Corporation will be of understanding for the operationalization of some old unserviced railway routes to boost regional rail connectivity, the Managing Director, Dr. Kayode Okoifa, has said. Speaking while playing host to the top management of the SWDC, led by the Commission's Managing Director, Mr. Charles Diji Akinola, who paid him a working visit on Tuesday, Dr. Okoifa said the corporation is open for business, adding that he is happy that SWDC is set to become a strong player in the rail sector. Where is this real thing coming from? Don Commission. This is beautiful. It's beautiful. I'll just read some parts of it. With moving the enabling law from the exclusive to the concurrent list, the federal government and the Nigerian Railways Corporation no longer have monopoly of the railway system in Nigeria. All development commissions, state governments, and private sector players are free to play in the sector, Okoifa added. He said the NRC have the Track Access Program, which has empowered all the state governments to partner with the corporation to make use of all national rail corridors at no extra cost under the NRC optimizing what we have and the railing with the state initiatives. Under the railing with the state initiative, we will be delighted to rail with all the 6 southwest states under the SWDC, Okoifa added. This is beautiful. This is all we've always, hoped for, right? And this is the beginning of regional system. It's happening right before our eyes, and it's lovely to see. All right, it's 6:47 p.m. I think there's something I was supposed to play earlier that I didn't get to play. It's the statement by the IG on the directive given by the president. I'll bring people up later. But by the way, I'm happy. I was overjoyed when I saw that SWDC stuff because I've been talking about it for a bit. And sometimes when I speak to my mentor, I'm always asking, because these are people who have been in the game. They understand all these things. And it's beautiful when you talk to those men, what you are thinking of, Walai, want to it's lovely. I want Baba will go. They are not stupid. The difference is that, if you come up with something new, they will acknowledge it too. But it's not like they are just bereft of ideas. Anyway, shout out to them. May they succeed. SWDC, Dawn Commission, Southwest Governors Forum, NRC, everybody, may they succeed, and may our land continue to grow and develop. All right, quickly, we're going to listen to the IGP, Inspector General of Police, speaking on the directive given by the President, which has to do with the withdrawal of policemen attached to VIPs across Nigeria. Take a listen, please.
Already withdrawn 11,566 personnel. We have given directives for that. I have seen some things posted on the social media, misleading. People are quoting figures. Figures, I don't know where they got their figures. Where they said that 120,000 policemen are attached to private individuals in Nigeria. These are lies. Not true. I don't know where they got their figure from. And that's the figure that's been brandished everywhere. That 120,000 policemen. How many are we in Nigerian police that would attach 120,000 to private individuals? The recent presidential directive that we should withdraw policemen from VIP protection made us to discover that 11,566 policemen are engaged in VIP protection as at today in Nigerian police force. Of course, this is not the first time we are implementing this type of directive. Recently, I gave instruction that policemen should be withdrawn from private individuals, and those private individuals desirous of police protection should reapply, because we saw the need to profile these individuals that are applying for police protection, and we carried out that exercise. During that time, a number of policemen were withdrawn, many of them not reassigned before this presidential order came. So it's something that we have been doing. But the recent presidential order will make the implementation more effective. Now that it is presidential order, there won't be pressure on the IG. In fact, the presidential order is a cover for us to implement this directive that we have been trying to implement all this while. So you can see that the implementation is going to be more effective this time around, because I know that nobody is going to call IG again that, please, these are my people. No governor is going to call me, no minister is going to call me. Friends, my family members will not put any pressure on me because they know it's presidential order. And I'm sure they are not going to put any pressure on any of my commissioners of police because they know that this is presidential order. So the implementation is going to be very effective this time around. And we are going to deploy these men to the areas where we need them. We are returning to our frontline policing function. We have.
All right. There was also, you mentioned the rumor, like that people have been talking about that we have about hundreds of thousands of policemen attached to VIPs, which of course is a lie. But then there's another rumor, and I think he also spoke on that, where he said, where people have, I'm going to I'll play the video that this particular description has been attached to. Somebody posted this video saying that the IGP, had said that we didn't arrest the bandits because they came out voluntarily for the peace talk. Right? Let me play that video, then I'll play you his response recently. Take a listen to the video first.
Reported bandits coming out for peace deals, and you want to know what my reaction is to that. Criminals who want to embrace peace, we won't shut the doors to them. If they want to surrender, they are welcome. But that does not mean that we are going to relax on our onslaught on them. Question 2 from Adewale Kehinde, Swift reporter. We want to know what we are doing about attacks on our men. Of course, severally, I have sounded warning to the public against attacking police officers on lawful duties. Attacks on our men is unacceptable. We don't accept attack on police officers carrying out their lawful duties. Severally have appealed to the public that if they feel that they do not agree with the conduct of a police officer, they should please report that police officer to the authorities. Every state has a command commissioners of police. Every division has a DPO. Every area has area commander. We also have the complaint response units in all the states of the Federation, and their phone numbers have been displayed several times in the media. If you don't agree with the conduct of any police officer, don't attack that policeman. Report his conduct to his superiors. And I can assure you that such reports will not be dismissed. All that has been going viral, the statement that has been going viral that the Inspector General of Police said we didn't arrest the bandits because they voluntarily released those victims. I expect that people should know that no IG will say such a statement, will make such a statement. No IG will make such a statement. That's why I didn't bother to respond to it. I'm talking about it now because somebody asked that question. How can an IG say that we didn't arrest them because they voluntarily released those people? That's a careless statement. I didn't say so. I didn't say so. And it's not the first time that they will publish so many things about the IG that the IG didn't know about. So it's not the first time. Yes.
All right, so that's that about that. I think we're just spinning things, and folks should be very careful on social media. This whole thing where you take news and then you spin it and then you get engagement. Meanwhile, you've already misrepresented the person you are reporting. I think we should be very careful so we don't get in trouble. And this goes to all of us, social media users. Lastly, before we go, by the way, Mbo, 1 second. Yeah, lastly, before we go, I saw this interview. It's not good. It's not good. But we'll go watch them. We'll go listen to them together. Here's something from an elder, and I heard this years ago. It was not just a desire, it was a plan. But I'm very careful saying it, but it's good that somebody, this person is the chairman Arewa Consultative Forum, is Bashir Dalhatu. And I don't think I'm going to believe what he has to say, but take a listen to this.
As I understand it, there is a very fierce debate in the North now between those who believe that you do not win this kind of problem with only military approach, and those that believe that you can win by talking, by negotiating, by consultation. The debate is still there. It's out there. The jury is still out. But I understand a mixture of the two has been used successfully in quite a number of places already. So maybe in the end, this has to be put together and applied. But I remember very well when there was an amnesty program in the Niger Delta, during those chaotic times, and it has worked perfectly. They were given amnesty. They were sent to school. They came back. They have become integrated in the system, and they are useful products and citizens of Nigeria. That also aspect can be looked at in terms of the North. Most of these bandits have not had the opportunity to go to school, have not had the opportunity to actually enjoy what we ordinarily do in the cities. And it's just for government to probably, while extending hands of friendship, but also making it quite clear that what they are doing is illegal and criminal, and
so
those that are caught in the process are punished.
What did you hear? Now, someone says nonsense talk. It's the same thing. That's the thing with certain precedents. It's you know, this whole thing about this stuff, it goes way back. In fact, I read some things. If you read, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but way back in 2013, there was a summit by a group of northern leaders where they called for unconditional amnesty for Boko Haram, citing structural problems in the region like illiteracy and economic deprivation as root causes, and urging dialogue rather than purely military response. This was in 2013. We're in 2025. In 2015, prominent leaders, including former Chief Justice Mohammed Owais, former SGA Babangida Ngibe, former UN Ambassador Ibrahim Gambari, they asked the then president-elect to declare amnesty for Boko Haram with priority given to special economic programs for the Northeast region. Gumi also said the same thing in 2015. Is it 2015? Let me for the date. It's from Repos. It was in 2021, not 2015. 2021. Sheikh Gumi insists on Niger-style amnesty for bandits. Controversial Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has once again kicked against any attempt at labeling northern bandits as terrorists. By the way, today they've declared all of them as terrorists. It was yesterday at the Senate. But he has insisted I'll take that again. Controversial Islamic cleric Sheikh Ahmad Gumi has once again kicked against any attempt at labeling northern bandits as terrorists, and has instead advocated for a blanket amnesty reminiscent of the type given to the Niger Delta militants to be granted to the killer bandits. So, because something happened for folks, because people in Niger Delta were given something, everybody must get it. So, if there were militants in Niger Delta, we also have to come with our own militants so we can also take part in the largesse. This goes way back. Okay, the earliest one I found when I was trying to, come up with something was 2013. 2015 was the one with the Chief Justice. Then we read 2021. Now that's 2025 with the leader of Arewa Consultative Forum. You know what we are doing in Nigeria? My criminals are better than your criminals. My terrorists are better than your terrorists. And if a terrorist does something, my own terrorist should also get the same thing. It's not about what they are doing. That one is secondary. The point is that if you can take care of that one that way, you also have to do the same thing so you can see fairness. We should be competing on development, not on amnesty. May God help this country. All right. I'm going to bring just one person up because it's already 7 and I want to get into, we have to start that topic today. We must start it today. So just going to be one person. If there's time, we'll bring people up much later. So CEO, we'll take your response and then we'll move on. I'll probably just read some things from YouTube so that I can get everybody in, and maybe Facebook as well. And then we'll get into today's topic. Even if it's just a bit of it, we have to get into it today.
Yeah, Prof.
So CEO, good evening.
Unfortunately, I'm on the road, so I can't. Let someone just take my place.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you for the gift. Thank you, J-Links. Thank you. J-Links, good to see you. Otto Chemeta, I've not seen you up in a bit. I've not heard your voice in a while. J-Links. Well, thank you very much for the gift. Guys, send gifts on TikTok. Again, primarily because it drives traffic. But it's not a bad thing to give as well, is it? But thank you very much for that gift, by the way. I really appreciate it. But I want to quickly read comments from different platforms and then we can get into today's stuff, the evolution of Christianity in Yorubaland. Lofty Osho Baba says, Baba Lofty. It says, Prof, thanks a billion for this high-level information, balancing the past with the present and thus charting a beautiful track for the future. Please permit me, anytime I make any comment on this channel, I will address you as Professor. Thank you, sir. I remember you, sir, Baba Osho. I've never met him. He made a comment on one of the videos. He said that if I have not become a professor, I should make sure I become one. I was like, oh, okay, sir. Sure, thank you, sir. Don't worry, we'll get the title. Maybe we'll do something. We'll do something on what you've said. But thank you, sir. All right. Lado Jabba says, I have said it times without number that lies, falsehood, propaganda, and bigotry has been in the DNA of all ethnic group, whether learned or not. He's talking about folks from the Southeast, but there are exceptions. There are exceptions. Ojuroye, I think this is, I don't know if this is Latin or what. Pseudologia Fantastica. Thank you. Whatever that means. Shonyon says, exactly, my guy, you already know. Imagine, oh, these people are getting away with murder. May God have mercy on all of us. All right, let's read YouTube. And then we can get into this topic. Shuku Bam say, I can assist with getting your existing skills formalized as academic qualifications. Shuku, send me a message now, please. Please. Kindly send me a message. Meanwhile, you are not following anybody yet. Nobody is following you. How is that? How? How come you are following no one and no one is following you? Are you a bot? I mean, I don't mind what you are saying. No, a new account. I know you. I know you. How do I know you? Like, what's the name that I know? I meant, like, is that an account that I know before now? Educated Stream says, oh, I just found out that there's Ogboni in Imo State today. Do you know about it? There has been Ogboni in Onitsha for many, many decades. But it's not Ogboni as in Ogboni. It is Reformed Ogboni Fraternities, ROF. So, but it's going to take us. Okay, maybe not out of topic for so long, but Shuku, please send me a message. I would like to chat with you. I mean, we'll see what we can get out of that conversation. So, you know, this man, I can't send you a message right now because I'm talking, but reach out, please. So, Educated Stream, Nnamdi Azikiwe joined ROF in Lagos, Reformed Ogboni Fraternity. The thing is, a lot of people join these fraternities for upward mobility, for networking and things like that. Excuse me. For networking and things like that. Oh, you're Observer. Of course, I know you. I know you, Shuku. I know you now, if you're Observer. But please send me a message. Thank you. So, Educated Stream. A lot of people joined reformed. Not, you cannot just join Ogboni. Let me first start by saying that Ogboni is not just anybody from anywhere can just join. I think they have, I mean, not that I think, they have their own way of whatever they do, but because it's very, very, I want it be like a gun. But ROF is like, is the Yoruba answer to Freemasonry or Freemasonry. ROF is the Yoruba answer to Freemasonry. And you know the interesting thing, as we go on in this series that we are starting today, we're going to get into ROF. It was founded by an archdeacon. Okay? Because of course in England you had ministers and Christians who were Freemasons, who were in Freemasonry. They were Freemasons and all of that. When the folks in Yorubaland, as they were detaching themselves from, you know, the dependence on English culture or Britishness, they were trying to assert their own identity and independence, even if they were still colonial subjects. But they went to say that culturally we are independent, and even in this religion we are going to be independent. So once they began to pull out of the established English churches and start their own churches beginning in 1901, they began to create other things, that other paraphernalia or other organizations that you will find in English society. And one of those things was what led to the creation of ROF, Reformed Ogboni Fraternity, and people joined from different places. Now, some people who are not Yoruba also joined ROF, e.g. Nnamdi Azikiwe. After a while, ROF itself was taken to Onitsha. So today, there's ROF in Anambra State. Okay? And it's possible that they may have spread in that part, but it's still connected to Archdeacon Oguntola, I think that's his name, right? So if they say Ogboni, ROF, no, so they cannot be Ogboni or Yabiye and no, but it's more like Freemasonry. I'm not a member, but somebody asked one funny question one time like that. But that's just the history of that thing. I think that's where the connection. So you have people who are not Yoruba who joined, and some of them now say that they're Ogboni and not called, but ROF is also Ogboni in a way. And if you watch, I mean, I've seen some of the videos from what they're meeting. They will sing some songs that are Anglican. That will be hymns, rather, and it's similar to what you find when you study Freemasonry as well. Someone says, you know, they were banned by OBJ. I don't know. They hate us but love to vulture our things. The truth of the matter is that in their closets, they know what is what. And someone says, give it a few years, they'll probably start claiming Ogboni originated from them. They can't even claim Ogboni originated from them. That's the point. They never had that kind of organization in their history, and they never had a reason for it. Ogboni is the judiciary of Yoruba people. They didn't, I mean, with all due respect to everybody, they did not evolve to that point in their political culture. They did not. It's not, there's even Kakwatereti. The original Ogboni, the Igbos did not develop politically to the point of having, they had their own style, though. It's not like they didn't have anything. They have their own style, but not our own. And then ROF, you can't claim ROF now. The history is everywhere. Who remembers the name of the Archdeacon? Ogun something. Anybody? Did they? Of course they did now. They were more communal based kind of thing. It's not like they too did not have any structure at all. They have societal structure. To be honest, they also have societal structure, but it was not, and is still not as developed. And this is not it's not a jab. It's like saying that, let me not, in every culture, I don't want to compare, every culture evolves. There was a time the UK did not have parliament. Owaneze is a new invention. I want to find that person's name. 1 second. Owaneze is new. Is Owaneze up to 50 years? I want to get you that person's name. Ogunbiyi. He founded it in 1914. Like I said, the movement for Africanization of Christianity in Nigeria, particularly in Yorubaland, had started in late 19th century, with the first church being established in 1901. So yeah, we'll talk about all of that later. Let's get into today's topic. Someone says it's like saying UK with unwritten constitution has no constitution. They are not need. And to be honest, right? See, your laws are a reflection in some ways of your evolution as a people, right? If you have no central authority, you will not have laws that require that kind of thing. Okay, and it's not whether it's good or bad. It's just people are at different levels. Someone says you are being too kind. Jesus Christ, you shall want me to like Glasgows. The point is that there are different levels to this thing, right? So at your level, you are there, and then you evolve. So I want to they were more based. Their own kidney was more clannish, and the decision making body was essentially people from everybody has to have a say. How many of you saw this video where somebody was excuse me, someone was talking about Aristotle's take on democracy? I saw that video last week, and I remembered I took a course in uni, social and political philosophy. When you study Aristotle, right, one of the things you discover is this democracy we are shouting is definitely not the best form of government. Why? Because the stupid person still gets to vote. The ignorant man has a vote, just like the smart one. And the ignorant man can be easily manipulated by bad people, but he has that power. Therefore, he's also telling you that I have a right. Meanwhile, he's very stupid. Like, he doesn't know anything. He's very ignorant. He's stupid. He's a dunce. But he has a right. He has a right to vote. Which means that if you have a critical mass of stupid people, your government will be run by the person that can use those stupid people. Which is why, personally, this is what I used to say back in the day, and I still believe it. Democracy can be, not is, but can be the tyranny of the majority. Even if the majority don't know what they are talking about. So I said all of that to say that some people will have this thing where everybody must have a say. But you see, in our culture, everybody would have a say, but one person will bear responsibility for the decision that they will make. That's leadership. So it's two-way. They are different in the way that one is based on stakeholders. We all own stakes in this thing. We all have stakes. Everybody must put mouth. The other one is based on leadership. We are talking about responsibility. So that one does not discount the place of advice from different people, everybody, pitching and say stuff. But the decision making at the end of the day, it could go with the majority and it could go with the minority. And sometimes in leadership, the advice of the minority, depending on the context, might actually help, because the majority may not want to have the blowback, and then they will take. You get the point. The point is that certain people just do this thing of let us all do it together, let us vote. It's good, but it's not always the right thing to do. No perfect structure, but some are better than the others. All right, so the person I was looking for earlier is Archdeacon Ogunbiyi, who was an Anglican cleric. He established ROF December 18, 1914. I should note it. Let me note it. I want to get to. We'll get there. I want to start talking about Africanization of Christianity, or the Yorubanization, or the indigenization of Christianity in Yorubaland. I think we might end up respecting our elders a bit more. I talk about elders a lot because we're not a dagba. As in dagba yalagba alone. All right. Let's get to today's topic. I have a number of books to read. A sister of mine wrote a thesis, a PhD thesis, and I think we should start from there. Let's start from there. I'm going to read, I don't know if anybody knows Professor Ajayi. He did a fantastic work. There's a book he published called Christian Mission in Nigeria between 1841 and 1891. So we are going to read part of that book as well. With the long. Sorry, we have many options. This is the issue with too many options. Ajayi, thesis, Ife Shrine, and one more book. Let's start with Ajayi. And I'll tell you why. So, the first set of people don't embrace Christianity in Nigeria, right? I want to leg me. When the Portuguese got on our shores, they had relationships with people in Benin and Warri in Lagos. When it came to religion, I think I'm code mixing. They got more established in Benin and Warri. Catholicism now. So let's read some things from Christian missions in Nigeria, 1841 to 1891. I'll be stopping and starting. Where we're going is Yorubaland, but I want to start this way because I want to link it to something else. Please give me a second. Let me open that document. Let's start by saying this. So, we've had conversations where people have arguments, for the most part, on social media, and even in real life, but mostly on social media, where they talk about foreign religions. And I'll start by saying that a lot of people who use, oh dear, somebody just came in to insult me. But because the person has no name, I'm just going to block him or her or it. I think it's a it. But this one is a total stupid fellow. So here's the thing. The people talk about foreign religions. Oh, this one's a foreign religion. This one's a foreign religion. The first thing you have to understand is this. This is the best place to start. The first thing you have to understand is this. If you're going to speak to the merit of a thing, and if all your argument is based on the origin of that thing, whether it's local or foreign, you haven't really thought properly about your argument. A lot of people who talk about something is foreign. I used to tell them, Yorubaland, southwestern Nigeria, of course there's Yorubaland outside southwest, but southwestern Nigeria or western Nigeria in the 50s experienced massive developmental growth. Much of what you saw back in the day happened because of one cash crop. That crop is called cocoa. The crazy thing is that cocoa is not indigenous to Yorubaland. It was brought in by a Portuguese. In other words, it's not something that is ours or that was ours originally, but it's something that is now ours. It came from somewhere, but it became ours. The same thing with corn. Agbado is not indigenous to Nigeria. We have a saying in Yorubaland, in what we had okababa, we had millet, but we didn't have corn. Corn came from America. When I say American, I'm not just saying United States, I'm saying the Americas. They call them then Indians, Red Indians, American Indians, Native American, that's a better word, Native Americans. Then it was introduced. Today, when I'm eating corn, eko, or ogi, pap, I don't care where you think it was imported from. If you want to talk to me about whether I should take pap or not, your argument cannot be that corn is from abroad. It's a very stupid argument. And I'm saying that because of the person that cursed me in the comment section just now. And I'm not even insulting you, but your premises don't make sense. The origin of a thing does not necessarily determine the use of it or its functionality. Therefore, we don't say cocoa is foreign. Cocoa is Yoruba crop today. Why? We domesticated it and we made it our own. And that's how ideas are, that's how philosophies are. A lot of the things that Awo talked about, for instance, if you read his autobiography, you will see how he talked about how he formed his political ideology in the 1920s, and it was from books from India that had to do with what they were doing back then with the Mahatma Gandhi and Bose and so on and so forth. He was studying that, and that was where he developed the idea of federalism that eventually made him very convinced that what Nigeria needed to be able to succeed was federalism, and more specifically ethno-linguistic federalism. And he advocated that particular position from the 1940s till his death. There is no politician in Nigeria's history that had a consistent ideology that had to do with federalism more than Awo. Not one. Every one of them vacillated. Some of them did not even know what some of them didn't even have any ideology. Awo did. But that did not come because he just looked around and he found democracy or he found federalism. He looked around because he studied what happened in other places and he found a way to domesticate and say, okay, Taba especially in Nigeria. So if you read his book, his very first book was published in 1947. Yes. Path to Nigerian Freedom. If you read that book, his thoughts were already fully formed. One of the reasons I like Awo is that he evolved in his thinking, but the basis was the same till he died. The methods would change as they should. If you're a thinking person, you have to evolve with the time. But you have to also have something that this is me. Not just that you're always here and there, here and there, here and there. You can change your methods. You can evolve in your thinking. But the premise of was constant. And for me, that's one of the things I look out for in people. If you are like this today, it's difficult for a person to be able to entrust leadership, which is what you saw in Nigeria's political history. And without trying to bring Zik down, I'm going to give an example because I saw it in the comment section. Zik published a book, The Renaissance Africa, I think it was in 1934. He published a book, Renaissance Africa, in 1934. Was talking about Pan-Africanism, how everybody's the same, and everything. You don't have to be Yoruba, you don't have to be. It's in the book. The book is not today's topic, but it's somewhere inside. You know, we are all together. We're all Yoruba people. We are all Africans, regardless of. We shouldn't be talking about Yoruba or Igbo or Hausa. He mentioned all these ethnic groups there. So he had this Pan-Africanist ideal, right? By 1943, Zik was talking about. Mean that he doesn't like Pan-Africanism again. It's just that clearly he's thinking about ethnicity, not just about one African Guinea anymore. In the space of 13 years, but it's okay. People evolve, right? So he wrote a pamphlet. It's called The Political Blueprints for Nigeria, 1943. By 1950-51, Zik had moved away from federalism to unitary system. By 52-53, Zik was back in federalism. By 66, NCNC pushed that policy they had in 51 and ensured that Ironsi promulgated it as decree number 34 of May 24, 1966, the unitary decree. So the point is that a lot of people said they were federalists or they believe in federalism, but they were not consistent. It was consistent. But the beauty of it is that the idea he was talking about were not necessarily what was here. It was something that he got from abroad, but he localized it, he internalized those things and reinterpreted those things in his own, context. And you see that when they were talking about the role of kings when Papa became the premier. They had to create a structure, of course, aligning what they had from Britain, but also understanding the reality of their time. And also understanding the role of the Obas. Even when they were creating Egbomo by 1945, Awo wrote letters to kings in Yorubaland. And got a response from Oba Adesoja Aderemi. And in 48, when they were going to, reestablish it in Nigeria, they did in Ife. So they know exactly what kings, what roles kings have to play, but they also understand that things have changed, and some of the things they also used was based on House of Lords, House of Commons in the UK, replicated this in Nigeria. So in Yorubaland, so you have House of Chiefs, like House of Lords, and then you have the Parliament, like House of Commons, like so. It's basically like Westminster model. The point I'm trying to make with all this Turenchi is that if you're going to have conversations going as educated, enlightened people, you can talk about the merit of an idea, the potency of whatever it is that they're promising. Talk about the doctrine. Talk about you can talk about the belief system, right, and how maybe it could affect the society. But you cannot just continually harp on the fact that it's foreign. And for those who say it's foreign, it's foreign. My question is, where do you draw the line? Is it only foreign when it's from overseas, or foreign when it's from outside Yorubaland? E.g., Igunoko is not Yoruba. It's also foreign. It's from the Nupe. Today we celebrate it. It's all of us, right? But it's not originally ours. But it's ours now. Eyo is not originally from Eko. It's from Ikweru. Ikweru Remo. So what are we going to say right now? Is it foreign to them? Because you can say foreign as in Okeokun, but also foreign to that, although we're all Yoruba. The point I'm trying to make is, foreign or not foreign is not where we should be having, it's not what we should be discussing. We should be, and if you don't have the time to study the merits of whatever faith, then focus on societal impact of that faith, and you would make more sense. And I'm talking to a particular person. I don't even know the person. That's the funny thing. Because of what I just said now, that the person will make more sense. That's the one that was insulting me. One will make more sense, in trying to work with folks, rather than just shouting, it's foreign, it's foreign. Many things are foreign. I used to jokingly say, and it's the truth, by the way, but Omar Finchere, that Oduda Ojebari, the first time I said it, somebody said, "No, how can you say that?" I said, Oduda never ate eba. Never. Why? Because there was no cassava in Yorubaland at the time it was here. It's a foreign agricultural produce. But does that matter? If you are drinking Gary right now, do you care if it came from South America or academic work? That's your own. Beautiful is your name. Wonderful is who you are to me. You I see in my dreams. Says, I hear we had our own spices, we did not. I think people are too proud to acknowledge the fact that it's not everything that we had. I don't know why. We had issue, by the way. Meanwhile, there was something trending on Twitter the other day. I think it was yesterday, when somebody said the Igbos domesticated yam. That's nonsense, by the way. I don't know whether the person. Yam was domesticated in Western Africa. That's the only thing you find in any book you read on the domestication of yam, about 5,000 BCE. It was domesticated in some sources will say the river basin and Guinea-Congo. Excuse me. That's the point. And also one interesting characteristic, they're saying that the Igbos domesticated yam 7,000. The same group you are saying domesticated yam in the 1860s were taught by, this is how Ajayi Crowther put it. He said, by the collective example of the mission agents, they were taught to grow yams better in the 1860s, and the book was published in 1866. Charge on the banks of River Niger. Is it the same group that now said that they're the ones that invented or domesticated? That's just rubbish. We had yam. Everybody had yam. I don't know who did it first, but folks in West Africa, that was where the yam was domesticated. So we had yam, we had plantain, we had millet, we had lots of food as well. But some things came much later, and when they did, they did. Àwọn kan tí ń fẹ́ sọ bíbí àwọn kan wà tó kí n máa sọ Yorùbá torí àwọn ìgbére kan ti wọlé mo dẹ̀ ti ń rí wọn ní comment section wọn ò dẹ̀ gbádùn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn náà. So some books I will quickly mention: Olódùmarè in Yoruba, Olódùmarè God in Yoruba Belief by Bolaji Dowu, and the Ife Shrine by Chief Emi Fabumi. But I have my attention to re-establish. The other book I wanted to use initially actually said, that Christianity got to Yorubaland in the 19th century. Again, you know how we do it. We sometimes go from one book to another. So stay with me. We're going to have a great time. Konikwe, because of time, we're going to still enjoy it. Let me read to you what is in that thesis. By the way, the thesis is about, let me look for it's about the Yoruba verbal art of eulogy in Christianity. So it's about oratory, eulogy, oriki, and things like that. But Christianity. But we'll get into that later. So let me read to you what she has here. The introduction of Christianity to Yorubaland in the 19th century assumed at first to be integral to Christianity. So what she said is that it was in the it was the 1800s. Apparently, when you look at the book by Professor Ajayi, he's saying that this was the re-establishment of Christianity. And then he says that they came to establish Christianity in this country following the failure of earlier Catholic missions in Benin and Warri. Now, go to another part. So what's the thing about what happened with Benin and Warri? I'll read some things to you. Please stay with me. Number. Okay. As long as the church was united, Christianity tended to take the view that religion was an affair of the community, unlike Islam, and most aspects of life were regulated by religious laws. But the Reformation, like Islam, but the Reformation, the disputes between Catholics and Protestants and between different Protestant denominations further emphasized theology and the element of personal belief and personal commitment. For a while, the communal views survived in the 16th century dictum of Latin qui regio, qui religio, in which the entry into Benin placed so much confidence. But Christianity was by then already reflecting, at least in part, the ineffectiveness of the Christian missionaries. But when they arrived in August 1515, he was away fighting the Ida War. He summoned them to join him on the battlefront, asking meanwhile that lessons on religion be postponed because he needed leisure for such a deep mystery. I'll take that again. He summoned them to join him on the battlefront, asking meanwhile that lessons on religion be postponed, quote unquote, because he needed leisure for such a deep mystery. He returned after a year and asked that one of his sons and others of the chiefs be baptized and taught to read. He was soon back at his wars, talking about the Oba of Benin. He was soon back at his wars, and presumably the missionaries returned home. When 3 other missionaries arrived in 1538, they found the Oba no longer interested. Portuguese trade in Benin had declined, and the missionaries were unwilling to supply ammunition as fitful and intermittent, but they held on to the belief that because the Oba was adored by his subjects with fear and unbelievable reverence, the subjects would easily be won, but denied free access to they were denied the services of interpreters, and when in August 1651 they tried to disturb a religious mob and subsequently deported a number of missionaries. I'll tell you, sorry, I'm distracted by what I always asked in the comment section. Oni is the great grandfather of the Oba of Benin, not grandfather. You know what? You are right. You are right. You are right. You are very right. Oromia is the grandson. His son is the Oba of Benin. So he's a great grandson. Thank you very much. Where were we? They were given rooms in the palace, but denied free access to the Oba. They saw him only twice in 10 months. They were denied the services of interpreters, and when in August 1651 they tried to disturb a religious festival involving human sacrifice, they were thrust out by an angry mob and subsequently deported. A number of missionaries tried to re-enter Benin through Warri, but without much success. In a moment of grave constitutional crisis in 1709 to 1710, apparently, Hey Joe. Hey Joe. One of his sons, and he came back with a Portuguese wife. The son of the when he became the Olu, carried on this tradition of close Portuguese and Christian connections. Indeed, from the century, I mean, 1570 to 1733, the Warri rulers became well known as professing Christians. Okay. What did you hear before the network went bad? Sorry, it's the rain. My network, you know what? Let me see if I can switch to another network. Mombo, hopefully it's going to work. Mombo. Or is it better now? Should I change it, or can you hear me well, or should I switch? Please, if you're on TikTok, please power tap. This is showing inactivity. It's going to go off if we don't do something. Please power tap on TikTok. I hope you can hear me. Show what okay, because I switched the network. What's okay, Abi? You can hear me. Okay. Don't worry. Today is introduction. We'll go deep on Monday or deeper. What book am I reading? Christian Mission in Nigeria, 1841. By J.F. Adiajayi, Professor of History, University of Ibadan. I should switch. Okay, Mombo, just give me a second. Let's see if the other network is going to be better. Okay, Dasha. Please stop asking when was it written. I'm trying to sort network.